The king of Phrygia was a garbage human being, arrogant, greedy, and deceitful. But what turned him from a favored guest of the gods into a heartless, thieving monster? Today, we're going to learn about Tantalus, the king of Phrygia. So Tantalus, the sovereign of Phrygia, was not merely a king, he was a spectacle of opulence and hospitality. His dominion was characterized by vast wealth, symbolized by mountains of gold that seemed to touch the heavens themselves. His palace, a marvel of architecture, stood as a testament to his grandeur, hosting feasts that were the talk of the land. Yet, Tantalus's allure extended far beyond the mortal realm. He was a favorite among the gods, who found in him a rare blend of mortal charm and divine grace. He was also apparently the son of Zeus. The gods' affection for Tantalus was not without reason. His feasts were legendary, not just for their lavishness, but for the atmosphere of camaraderie and intellectual exchange they fostered. Here, gods and men mingled, sharing laughter, stories, and the nectar of the gods. Tantalus, with his sharp wit and boundless generosity, managed to create an environment where the divine felt at ease, almost human. Perhaps it was this ability to bridge the gap between the celestial and terrestrial that endeared him to the gods. They shared with him secrets of the universe, whispered prophecies, and indulged in the rare pleasure of mortal company that appreciated their divine presence without the usual awe or fear. However, this divine favor, rather than humbling Tantalus, inflated his ego. He began to perceive himself not as a man blessed by the gods, but as their equal. This shift in self-perception was his undoing. Tantalus's hubris, believing he could partake in the divine essence without consequence, led him to acts that would forever mark his name in infamy. His story, from being the god's favorite to the cautionary tale, underscores the peril of overstepping one's bounds, a lesson etched in the annals of mythology as a reminder of the thin line between divine favor and divine wrath. Tantalus's descent into infamy began with a decision so heinous it would forever alter his fate and legacy. In an act of unimaginable cruelty and hubris, he chose to test the omniscience of the gods in the most grotesque manner. He took his own son Pelops, murdered him, dismembered his body, and prepared it as a meal for the divine assembly. This wasn't just a test, it was a violation of every sacred law of hospitality, family, and divine respect. The gods, immediately aware of Tantalus's deception, were not just shocked but deeply offended. How could one so favored by them commit such an atrocity, especially against his own flesh and blood? Their reaction was swift. They ceased the feast, refusing to partake in the macabre meal, and, in a display of their power and mercy, they restored Pelops to life, a testament to their ability to mend what was broken. Tantalus's act revealed his true character, one of greed, arrogance, and a willingness to sacrifice even his kin for a twisted sense of superiority. His attempt to outwit the gods not only failed, it backfired spectacularly, exposing him to their divine wrath. The gods, now fully aware of his nature, were left to decide his punishment, a decision that would reflect the severity of his crime and serve as a warning for all who might dare to challenge the divine order. What punishment awaited would be as legendary as his crime, a fitting end for one who dared to think himself equal to the gods. Tantalus's audacity didn't end with his horrific act against his son. He ventured further into sacrilege by setting his sights on ambrosia, the divine sustenance of the gods. This wasn't merely theft, it was an affront to the very essence of divine exclusivity. Ambrosia, the food that conferred immortality and divine vigor, was reserved for the gods alone, symbolizing their separation from the mortal realm. Tantalus, in his boundless hubris, not only stole this sacred substance, but also disclosed its secrets to other humans, an act that blurred the lines between the divine and the mortal. This transgression was monumental. By sharing Ambrosia's secrets, Tantalus wasn't just stealing, he was attempting to redistribute divine power, challenging the gods' authority over life, death, and the natural order. His actions were seen as a direct assault on the sanctity of divine rights, threatening the very structure that maintained the gods' supremacy over humanity. The gods, already incensed by his previous crimes, now faced a man who not only coveted their power, but sought to democratize it amongst mortals. The gods' reaction was swift and severe. Tantalus' fate was now sealed, not just as a criminal, but as a symbol of the dire consequences of overstepping mortal bounds. His punishment, crafted in the depths of Tartarus, would reflect the gravity of his offenses. Tantalus' crimes didn't end with his son or the stolen ambrosia. He also betrayed his friend Pandareus in a shocking way. Pandareus had stolen a golden dog forged by Hephaestus. Trusting Tantalus, Pandareus asked him to keep the dog safe, and Tantalus agreed, but when Pandareus came back for it, Tantalus had lied. He said he never received the dog. This betrayal shows just how far Tantalus had fallen, and he wasn't just defying the gods anymore, he was lying to his own friends. Tantalus' actions reveal a character consumed by greed and dishonesty. He'd do anything, even hurt those close to him, to get what he wanted. It's clear that Tantalus had lost all sense of loyalty and honor. The gods were furious with Tantalus. They decided to punish him in a way that would make him suffer forever. Tantalus was sent to Tartarus, the deepest part of the underworld where the worst criminals go. His punishment was cruel and unusual. Tantalus was forced to stand in a pool of water that reached up to his chin. Above him hung branches full of delicious fruit. There was a catch. Whenever Tantalus got thirsty and tried to drink the water, it would quickly move away from him. His lips would barely touch it before it disappeared. And when he got hungry and reached for the fruit, the branches would lift up high in the air, just out of reach. But that's not all. A huge rock hung over Tantalus's head. It always looked like it was about to fall and crush him, and this made him feel scared all the time. So Tantalus was always hungry, always thirsty, and always afraid. He could see food and water, but he could never eat or drink, and he was always worried about being squashed by the big rock, and this was Tantalus's punishment. It would go on forever and ever. The gods made sure he would always want things he could never have. They wanted him to learn his lesson about being greedy and tricking others. Tantalus' eternal punishment has left an indelible mark on our language and culture, giving rise to the term tantalizing. This word captures the very core of his ordeal, the constant tease of something you deeply desire yet can't quite attain. That's the feeling of being tantalized, a sensation universally understood by anyone who's ever felt the pull of something just out of reach. Tantalus, with his fruit and water always slipping away, has become the emblem of this universal experience of unfulfilled longing. Tantalus' choice also shed light on the dark side of greed. He didn't just want more, he was ready to sacrifice his own son and defy the gods for it. This shows how greed can twist someone's morals, leading him down the path of ruin. His story isn't just a lesson in what not to do, it's a mirror reflecting how far we might go for power or secrets we're not meant to have. It reminds us that ambition is fine, but it needs balance of wisdom and respect for others. Tantalus' actions highlight the destructive nature of greed. His willingness to harm his own son and challenge the gods for personal gain illustrates how greed can corrupt and lead to moral bankruptcy. His story serves as a reminder of the pitfalls of overreaching. Lastly, the myth of Tantalus underscores the critical importance of respect. Tantalus' downfall was not just due to his hubris or greed, but also his profound lack of respect for those around him. He betrayed the trust of the gods, who had treated him as one of their own, and showed a shocking disregard for his son Pelops and the sanctity of life itself. His actions were a direct affront to the principles of Xenia, the sacred guest-host relationship, and respect for family. Had Tantalus shown respect for the divine order, or his family, or for the natural laws that govern human conduct, he might have continued to enjoy his privileged life. His story serves as a stark reminder of the consequences of disrespect. It teaches us that respect is not just about politeness or social norms, it's about recognizing the intrinsic value in others, in the world around us, and in the systems that uphold our societies. Pride cometh before the fall.
All right, that's all I've got for today. If you like it, give us a like and subscribe. If you don't like it, that's okay too. Other than that, have a great day.